Good morning, everyone. I am your host, Olivia Cohen, coming in live from the Durfner Judaica Museum here at the Hebrew Home. And this is Good Morning Hebrew Home. Welcome, everyone. Today is Thursday, March 4th, and the time is 10:31 a.m. So March is Women's History Month, a time when we can educate ourselves on historic moments women fought for and our progress thus far, along with celebrating women as a whole. And what better way to do that than reading a bunch of books about women by women? So if you're looking for recommendations on biographies that will educate you, comedies that will make your belly ache, or stories that encapsulate the unique challenges women face every day, a little later, we will have 17 books that are essential reading for Women's History Month. So we have a great show planned for you today, but first, let's get into the weather. Let's take a look at the weather in our neck of the woods for today. Today will be cloudy, followed by partly cloudy skies and gusty winds this afternoon. High 43 degrees Fahrenheit, winds northwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour, and higher wind gusts are possible later. So it's a windy day today. But yesterday was much warmer and sunnier, and I'm starting to see little hints of spring. So let's keep our eyes out for those warm weather days. Let's move to this day in history, March 4th, 1902. A very useful company called AAA, also known as American Automobile Association, was founded on this day. Before this time, other companies dealing with automobile concerns had existed. However, none of them seemed to last, and to this date, AAA is one of the largest automobile organizations established. I did not know that they started in 1902. I used to use, I don't think I still have AAA, but when I first got my car, I felt very cool to have the card. So 1902, that's when they started. Very interesting. Moving to 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt was inaugurated as the 32nd President of the United States, pledging to lead the country out of the Great Depression. Moving ahead to 1952, Ernest Hemingway had finished a novel entitled The Old Man and the Sea on this day. The book had won the Pulitzer Prize about a year later and was Hemingway's last major work of fiction created. Let's move on to our national days. Today is National Grammar Day. Something I'm not great at, everybody, so this isn't one I'll be celebrating, but it's National Grammar Day. It's also National Marching Music Day. So if marching music is your thing, play it loud. Today is the day. And also National Pound Cake Day. I do love a good pound cake. Allison, are you a pound cake fan?
It's okay.
It's okay.
I can take it or leave it.
I love pound cake. I like cake, actually, in general. There's
That's
only
how I feel. It's
yeah.
cake. Anything that's sweet is good, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I agree. So National Pound Cake today. We'll have to see what we have for lunch and our desserts to see if that follows. And it's also a National Sons Day. So your day to acknowledge your sons and celebrate them and tell them how much you love them. Resident birthdays for today. Helen M., happy birthday. Just one. And one for our staff birthdays. We have Rosemary from Finance. Happy birthday. Our famous birthday for today is Patricia Heaton. I don't know if anyone knows who Patricia Heaton is, but she was born March 4th in Bay Village, Ohio. And Patricia Heaton is best known for her role as Ray Barone's wife, Deborah, on the CBS TV sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond. She's currently to be seen on the comedy series The Middle, and her earlier TV shows include 30-something. So I loved Everybody Loves Raymond. I loved her role. I thought she was so funny. She has such a great dry humor. and Ray Barone. They were such a great match. I love that show. And also just Ray Romano, sorry, not Ray Barone, that was his character's name. Ray Romano went to high school with my mom, which was so funny. And I found him in her yearbook when I used to play with her yearbook. So I love that show. And it's so Queens and Long Island, and I'm from Queens. And so that's just all great things, good family fun. Our menus for today. Lunch, hot dog on a roll, baked beans with sauerkraut, and for dessert, pineapples. Dinner, we have soup will be tomato couscous. Entree will be fish and chips with coleslaw. And dessert will be coffee ice cream. So enjoy. No pound cake, everybody, but I think we have pound cake here pretty often, too. I do see it on the menu sometimes. So we are definitely celebrating that pretty often. So let's move into our 17 books that we're here to talk about. So want to educate yourself in another way as well. So just to let everybody know, here are some interesting podcasts to listen to this month if anybody is listening to podcasts. We have the History Chicks, Chicks, by Beckett Graham and Susan Vollenweider. We also have Stuff Mom Never Told You, which is on iHeartRadio. And The Other Half, The History of Women Through the Ages by James Bolton. So those are some really good podcasts to listen to. But now let's move into our 17 books. We are going to move over to our lovely handy dandy whiteboard here. That's a Blue's Clues reference. And we're going to start with our first book. So this is The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lapore. And in this book about the popular superhero character Wonder Woman, we learn the parallels between Wonder Woman and the fight for women's rights. Lapore argues that Wonder Woman is a kind of a missing link in our rights history and details the creator of the comic book hit and his own relationship with powerful women. So if you like superheroes and educating yourself on women's rights, this is a must-have on your bookshelf. I have not read this one, but it's actually on my list. This is our next book, Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, 100 Tales of Extraordinary Women by Elena Favilli. So Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls tells the stories of female heroes from years ago and present day. With color portraits and biographies that are short and sweet, this book is a page-turner for anyone wanting to learn about influential women in the past and present. So this is also a really good book. Also, the images in this book, I haven't read this one either. It's also in my list. And you may hear me say that very many times throughout this. But the images in this are really, really beautiful. It's a great book. And it's also really great for kids, too. Okay, so this is We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And this book, it's a pretty tiny book. I have read this book, so I can say that. It's a pretty thin book, but it's so powerful. It's so important. In this long-form essay, which was adapted from Adichie's viral TED Talk by the same name, she draws from her experience being born in Nigeria and moving to the U.S. at age 19, offering a unique new definition of feminism for the 21st century. So this is a really great book. And I hope you can see this one. Okay. What a classic, right? Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. A classic that never gets old, set in rural England in the early 19th century. This tale centers around the Bennet family, a family of 5 daughters and their 2 parents who are desperate to find at least one of the daughters a wealthy match. Austen's story focuses on the tension between marrying for love instead of just for power and prestige, and also the unique pressure on women to find financial security by way of marriage at the time. So this is such a classic. I'm sure many of you have already read this. And, now is a good time to catch up on reading some new books or reading books that we've already read. So another great book here. Look how cool that is. Okay. Women in Science, 50 Fearless Pioneers Who Changed the World by Rachel Ignatowski. Women in Science, 50 Fearless Pioneers Who Changed the World is a sweetly illustrated and educational book that highlights the contributions of 50 women in the fields of technology, science, engineering, and mathematics from present day all the way back to 360 AD. So this also a book that's on my list, but the images in this as well are so great. Also a great book for kids to get them started really filling in the gaps that sometimes we may not get in school and learning about women. So this is a great book for that. Oop. Okay, great. Got it. Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly. This was also a movie, really, really great movie too. And this is actually, I think, an image from the movie. But this book tells the inspiring true story of 4 Black female mathematicians, Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, and Katherine Johnson, and Christine Darden, who worked for NASA in the 1950s and 60s and participated in some of the organization's biggest successes, including sending a man into outer space. It chronicles nearly 30 years of their lives, which involved fighting against both sexism and brutal racism, and also how they used their intelligence to change both their own lives and this country. So super important book. Had an amazing, speaking of women having impacts on science, these women did so much for science and mathematics and space. So it was amazing. Great book as well. And great movie with great actresses. Another classic, everyone, Little Women. I think they redid this movie not too long ago. I haven't seen that one. I remember the one from when I was little. But Little Women, this book is amazing, by Louisa May Alcott. I'm sure many of you have read this as well. In this classic coming-of-age story, writer Louisa May Alcott tells us the story of the March Girls, Jo, Meg, Beth, and Amy, all whom are facing pivotal life decisions, whether that be to not to marry or how to push against societal expectations and find a new life path themselves. Little Women is based loosely on Alcott's younger years, and this book is guaranteed to touch the hearts of readers young of all ages. So this is a great classic, another great one to read with kids. I think I read it when I was little, and another one, a classic to read again. So great book. Moving on to our next one, My Own Words by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We have some biographies in here as well. In this woody, engaging New York Times best-selling book, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg discusses gender equality and the work of the Supreme Court, as well as her own fascinating personal life and the impact of her Jewish faith. So, really great book. I haven't read this one, but very recommended. Again, on this list, all of these books come from CNN.com. They put together this list, so thank you guys. This is Spinster, Making a Life of One's Own by Kate Bullock. And this one is Some Want to Marry, while others choose to lead an independent life on their own. In this witty conversation starter, author and journalist Kate Bullock uses her life as an example for why there's a growing population of women that chooses to remain unmarried, and how women can savor these years and their lives in a wholly fulfilling way. So this is another great book. I had never heard about it until this list, actually, so that's really cool. And then The Glass Universe, How the Ladies of Harvard Observatory Took the Measure of the Stars. This is by Dava Sobel. After years of women being overlooked in the astronomy field, Sobel tells the amazing story of the group of women who helped the world see the universe as they never had before. In the mid-1800s, Harvard College Observatory began hiring women to interpret the findings that their male counterparts made via telescope each night. Eventually, as photography transformed astronomy as we know it, the women began to make discoveries like what stars are actually made of and a way to measure distances across space. So that sounds very, very cool. And if you like science, again, great book, and astronomy, the stars. Elizabeth the Queen by Sally Bedell Smith. I know some of our residents here love royalty and UK family and everything, so the royal family. So known for leading an exceedingly private life, all while being arguably the most known woman in the world, Elizabeth the Queen explains the history of the Queen and how her characteristics as a woman have led her to be an icon for women's rights at a global scale. Spanning from 1952, at the time of her ascension to the throne, to modern day, Smith pulls back the curtain to detail the Queen's personal life during her last 60 years as a leader. So, it's a really cool book too. And this is My Beloved World by Sonia Sotomayor. From her early life to where she is today, this captivating memoir gives readers a look into the life of Sonia Sotomayor, the first Hispanic and third female judge on the United States Supreme Court. Throughout this read, Sotomayor shares her experiences overcoming barriers both women and minorities face in everyday life, and how she went from a precarious childhood to working her way through her education and jobs that would eventually lead to fulfilling her dream of becoming a lawyer and one of the country's most influential judges. Another great book there if you're interested in learning about the lives of some of these wonderful and powerful women. Finding My Voice by Valerie Jarrett. So this book is about gain insight into the life of the longest serving senior advisor to President Barack Obama, Valerie Jarrett. Writing about her life, which has been filled with plenty of personal challenges, Jarrett's road from Chicago to the White House will captivate you. So this is another great book. I didn't even hear about this one, so I was super excited. No one is too small to make a difference. And I am going to mess up her name. But Greta Thunberg. I know there is a better way to say that. But the title of this book says it all, with Thunberg's astonishing accomplishments ranging from creating a school strike that became a global movement called Fridays for Future to speaking at climate rallies across Europe at the age of 16. This is a book of her most famous speeches, including her historic address at the United Nations. So we have women across the age span from young to older women. So it's really great to see all of these women doing things at every stage of their life. And The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. Empowering women across the world, Melinda Gates writes this book with a focus around gender equality and empathy, combining scientific data and stories alike. The Moment of Lift highlights her experience with inequality in the workplace and humanitarian work. So another really great book. I think I may read this one. And Becoming, I have this book. I have not yet read it. And I think we have a copy here. Thank you, Lisa Murray. But Becoming by Michelle Obama. We wouldn't be able to write this list, this is what CNN says, without including Michelle Obama's memoir, Becoming. Has the former FLOTUS discussing her childhood, family, motherhood, her own FLOTUS impact, the pressures of being part of the first Black family in the White House, and balancing her public life now. And of course, she writes all about meeting her husband and the many unique challenges that they faced too. So it's a wonderful book. I've heard so many good things about it, and I think there's a journal that comes along with it, or there's a second part thing. And then this is the last one. This is number 17 on our list. This is Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. In Bossy Pants, comedian and Saturday Night Live alum Tina Fey, writes all about her life and career and offers a unique and modern take on motherhood and power, all, of course, while being uproariously funny. So that's our list, everybody. I hope that you guys can all, if you want to reach out and let us know if there's anything that you're interested, or let us know if you've read any of these books. That would be really great to hear. What have you read? How did you like it? We'd love to hear from you guys. So as always, feel free to give us a call. And any good news that you've heard and would like to share on the show, you can do so by dialing 2813. So you can go ahead, you can pick up the phone, only in-house though, and dial 2813. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment, hit that like button, or hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to tune into Channel 8 later today. We have Wellness with Deborah at 1:30. On a Musical Note with Peter at 2:30. On our stream channel, Channel 88, we have at 4 o'clock, Jarrett presents Music Appreciation. And at 6:30, if you miss any portion of this episode, you can catch it again at 6:30 tonight. Tonight's movie at 7 p.m. on Channel 88 will be Juanita. So Juanita is a story about a woman fed up with her life. She leaves her grown kids behind and hits the road in search of a fresh start. That's our show for today, everyone. Thank you for joining. Once again, this has been Olivia Cohen with Good Morning Hebrew Home. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same channel. Cohen out.